Freeform Radio is back with the latest upgrade, new logo, but same old network on Freeform Network. And you can follow us at Facebook under Freeform Network, under Twitter at FFR Podcast. And remember to send suggestions and questions to ffnquestions@gmail.com. We've been going to have an episode very shortly with all you guys' comments, emails, articles. We're ready to have some interaction with their fans. I hope their fans are. Some of what we saw have been positive, but I have a feeling there might be some negative ones in there. But we're going to find out very soon. Again, this is Freeform Radio. I'm one of your many hosts, Andy, and I have Daniel next to me.
Yes, sir. Back here for another podcast.
And we have rejuvenated Noel back.
What's going on, everybody? Glad to be back.
So finally, we got a new year. We're all back under one earth, I guess. We're not under the same roof, but metaphysically, I guess, or we're all under one microphone. So we're all back together. And everybody, it's been January Chicago weather. We like giving you guys weather updates in beautiful Chicago. It's fucking cold. It's snowing. And it's going to get colder, and it's going to snow some more. So with that being said, we're back. We're ready to entertain you guys. Noel has been very busy with following the UFC on its latest new platform, ESPN Plus, or on the ESPN networks. What do you know? Did you were able to watch it? I don't even know if it was on regular TV or it was a streaming thing. What can you tell us, Noel?
So ESPN, they wanted to start a new network or a new app, and so they have ESPN Plus, and the UFC finished their contractual obligation with Fox. So unfortunately, there's not going to be any more FS1 fight nights. If you want to watch the UFC, the regular fight nights, you're going to have to get the app. I think it's about $5 a month, or you can probably get a deal, I think, if you get like the full year or something. But for the first, I think, 14 days or so, it's free if you get the app, and then I guess you have to cancel it afterwards. Or you can do what a lot of people do, and you can find a stream down, that dark web.
Like always, there's another place to stream it. So real quick, it is an app, just ESPN Plus app.
There's the app. I think there's also the desktop version. You just use the internet. But yeah, there should be an app, I think, for people that just want to watch it on their TVs or phones.
So yeah, I wonder how many smart devices have that, because I haven't really seen it, but to be honest, I wasn't looking for it. I wonder if it's, up there on those Rokus and the Apple TVs and all the whatnots.
I imagine they're going to do that. They're really trying to go all out with it. That's why the UFC was making such a big deal about this. It was their first event this past Saturday, and they had a championship fight and everything. Like, they were trying to really hype it up. So I'm pretty sure if ESPN is smart about it, they're going to probably put on all the different avenues, like, Apple and Android devices.
I'm just going to get the Zone, Noel. I'm not getting the ESPN Plus.
I don't blame you, man. A lot of people were really hesitant about this whole change because, most people, they have Comcast or something like that, and they or DirecTV, whatnot, and they get Fox through that. So they're already paying a premium price, and they get a bunch of channels, including that. Now you're going to have to get whatever you have naturally, NFL Network, whatever, and now you have to get ESPN Plus separate from that. A lot of people are like, I don't want to have to spend, $50, $60 every year to watch these same fights that I used to watch for free. And I don't blame them. Some of these fight nights are good, and some of them, they're kind of lackluster. So it seems kind of a waste to have to pay $5 a month for it. But there's always a way around it. Like I said, if you really do look for the streams, you usually are able to find it. Either way, though, UFC is making their money. I heard something around they're going to make about $10 million per show.
Wow.
Wow, that's a big payout.
Yeah, no, there's definitely they're going to make their money back. And that's why a lot of people also were kind of criticizing the UFC. They make it seem like the UFC is only about the money now and not about the entertainment or the fans. And so it's interesting right now. A lot of changes going on in the UFC. The weekend. Just a really quick recap. The main event was Henry Cejudo versus TJ Dillashaw. It was a championship match at 125 pounds, and Henry Cejudo is the current champion, and he's defending his title against TJ Dillashaw, who is the champion at 135 pounds, which is bantamweight. So the bantamweight champion versus the flyweight champion, it was supposed to be one of the greatest fights, hopefully, of the year. And it was a great fight, to be honest, but it only lasted 30 seconds.
Wow.
Get your $5 worth.
Exactly, right? Although it was entertaining, I had to say I was rooting for Henry Cejudo, and he came out repping Mexico. It was pretty interesting. The whole like show, the showmanship, the lights and everything. He had the Mexican colors flying. I was like, that's interesting. And finally, somebody representing. And yeah, he fought hard, fought really hard against TJ Dillashaw, who cut 10 pounds to get down to 125 from his natural 135. And I got to say, man, he looked terrible against Henry Cejudo, who I'm not sure if you guys know, he's an Olympic medalist, Olympic gold medalist. So he's like the smaller version, like Kurt Angle. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he absolutely destroyed TJ Dillashaw in those 30 seconds. A lot of people thought it was controversial that they stopped it that early. But to be fair and honest, he did get dropped about 3 times. So that third time where he got dropped, the referee stepped in, stopped it. In my opinion, it could have gone on 5 more seconds, maybe 10, but he just would have gotten demolished even worse. So there was really no need to do that. He wasn't about to jump out of this. He wasn't about to like turn the tides on him. No, it was over at that 30-second mark, or 32 seconds, whatever it was, when it got stopped. And he saved himself a lot of extra damage.
Wow, in 30 seconds to get dropped 3 times, that's quick, man.
Yeah, no, it was phenomenal to see Henry Cejudo. He was also defending the whole division. Now, there was rumors that they were going to do away with the whole division, which would mean somewhere around like 20 or more fighters would just get cut. And they already lost half of their fighters in that division due to pay cuts and etc. So there was a lot of jobs on the line, and I'm hoping that they're going to keep it around. There's no guarantee, but Henry Cejudo looks so good that I think Dana White has the incentive to keep him around, keep them all around.
Yeah, the deal with ESPN Plus, I did hear maybe like a year ago that UFC, they might be, one of the reasons that they sold it is because they were having like cash flow problems, or they were having some financial issues. And this new corporation that bought them out, I'm kind of shocked to hear that they're still having issues with that.
Yeah,
they're laying off fighters or cutting them or whatever.
Right now, it's like they're trying to get back on their investment. So Dana White, he made a pretty penny out of it, but in order to keep his job, he has to keep that money coming in, and he's a promoter. So right now, there's a lot of controversy going on with the title shots and the rankings and the fighters, the matchups. For example, Anthony Pettis, I'm not sure if you know who he is. He's a Milwaukee native. He fights out of Wisconsin. He used to be the lightweight champion, and he fought at 145, 155, which is lightweight. And now he's in a fight at 170, and he's fighting the number, I think, 3 ranked fighter at 170, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I'm not sure if you guys know who these guys are, but they're very, very talented fighters, and it's really unusual for them to be fighting because they're both different weight classes. But this is the kind of thing that's going on right now. They're not worried so much about the rankings, who deserves these fights, who earned these fights. They just want to make the fights that are interesting and make money, get people to watch,
Yeah, I mean, going back a little bit with the John Jones fight being moved from Vegas to LA after he failed the test. I don't care how minuscule they're saying it was. I was kind of shocked they did that, and they did it so fast. Like the logistics of doing that, I was shocked how quick they were able to do that.
It cost them millions of dollars, but had they canceled the event, it would have cost them even more. So that's why they did that. They needed to make money back on this whole endeavor. And John Jones is one of those guys that can pay off um, whatever you set up with him. Any fight that has him on that card, or any fight night that has him on that card, he's gonna make a lot of money, and he's gonna bring in a lot of viewers to watch him. So I totally understand why they did it. A lot of people were upset about it, especially a lot of the fighters that had brought their family and
Yeah.
their friends out there. They had bought tickets. All the people that had seats at that location. Now you all of a sudden have to get refunds and buy new tickets for the other location, and there might not be the same amount of seats. You might not get the same place you had. There was a lot of people upset, but in terms of like the money, they had to do that to kind of recoup their losses, especially considering I think it was one of the last fights of the year, and they wanted to make as much money at that before the end of that year as they could. That way, it could be on their fiscal,
Fiscal end of
earnings.
the year, they wanted earnings for the last year, or the last month of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, got to put it on the books.
Yeah, actually, a lot of game companies did the same thing. That they sparked a lot of controversy. A lot of game companies were doing similar things, shady business, trying to make a little extra money here and there. They released games that were incomplete instead of, making just like a DLC that's like early access. They release these games at full price that are like broken still at day one. Actually, speaking of video games, I'm watching this Twitch streamer. I don't know if you guys know about Twitch. It's
Yeah, the streaming site for video games and other like gaming stuff.
And wrestling.
Exactly. Yeah, Twitch is it's pretty popular right now. There's a lot of miscellaneous stuff on there, people just chatting away and all that, but
Is there
uh
fucking?
I don't know. I don't think they could do that, but I haven't really explored the dark Twitch web.
Coming
Mainly what I've
soon.
been watching.
Freeform Network on Twitch, adult releases.
God damn. Let's see. Let's check it out. One of these days we'll have to get on there, but the one I'm watching right now is actually a Chicago native. He's a pro gamer, and his name's Choco Taco.
Okay.
He plays PUBG a lot.
Oh, the ice cream.
Yeah, yeah, the ice cream. He's even got the logo of the ice cream and everything on like a face, like a humanized version of Choco Taco.
We're talking about video games, Danny, not food.
Right. To be honest, I never really liked that ice cream.
Are you serious?
It's pretty good, man.
Is it?
Yes.
I didn't really care for it too much. I mean, out of the ice cream category, I didn't really care for it.
Huh.
Man, Danny going controversial early.
I know, man. What's going on here?
Wow, I'm a strawberry shortcake kind of guy.
Oh man,
Damn, that is good. That
It's
is
all
good
right.
too. I remember the corner store we used to go to by the park. They always had that.
Right.
Yeah.
So Choco Taco does PUBG games, and he just streams them live, and he's teabagging the shit out of people or something.
He's actually one of the more humble, nice guys on the Twitch streamers. That's kind of why I watch him. I watch a few of them. Shroud is another main gamer, or Justin or Just9N. Um, they're all pro gamers that play these games. They play like Call of Duty and stuff like that. But I started watching Choco Taco because I play PUBG every now and again, which is like a more realistic like shooter.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a very talented player, dude. He wins matches on the regular. Not every match, but most matches he plays. He does very, very well, and he's a very humble guy, really nice, really mellow. So I've been liking his streams. I've been watching it, trying to get pointers and see like, all right, how can I get better? And yeah, just throwing a little shout out to him. I've also been watching YouTube, a lot of YouTubers recently. Dude, YouTube, you can find so many different things. And I'm big on like medicine and health and all that. And every now and again, I'll watch this channel. It's called Chubbyemu. I don't know if you guys have heard of that.
Chubbyemu, no.
Yeah, yeah. So he
You
does.
could get lost on YouTube quickly, right? You could go down that rabbit hole, and you won't come out because you just keep going into other videos.
Right. Sometimes I just look at the feed and then I just keep going and checking videos that I've never seen before. And like you said, man, you could just get lost for like an hour just watching dumb videos that you had no idea that were even out there.
Exactly, dude. It's crazy. I came across this just the other day. It was like a recommended video, and I was like, oh, what's this about, Chubbyemu? I thought it was gonna be something funny. It's actually pretty horrific. It's
Wow.
yeah, it deals with like medical cases that he explains it in a way. It's like, you know how the Twilight Zone host, like he comes out, he starts talking, he's like, uh, like for example, this one right here. A woman drank 1 liter of soy sauce colon cleanse in 2 hours. This is what happened to her brain. And then like he starts going down like the whole story and and he gives a whole spiel on like what it could do to you, how the effects are, what happens minute by minute, and how her brain starts to deteriorate. It's very scientific, and he's also the reason I'm giving him a shout out. He's also a Chicagoan. He represents a lot of like Illinois like medical universities and stuff like that. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to throw a little shout out to him. Hopefully, he gets more views.
Is he a doctor or he's just like a student or he just like I'm a nurse and I'm aware of all this stuff? You
To
know?
be honest, I have to do more research on who he is specifically. To, to, when you watch it, it feels like he's a doctor. I don't want to say he is because I truly don't know the guy, but his knowledge on medicine, if it's scripted or not, I don't, maybe he's just an actor that reads a teleprompter. But the way he presents this information, it's very factual, and he tells it in a way that it draws your attention. Like I'm telling you, he's like the Twilight Zone host of like the medical industry. It's crazy.
Now it'd be cool if he had a cigarette on him and say, "Don't do this."
Right, and then it's black and white.
Oh man, yeah, it's crazy. You gotta check it out. There's a lot of taglines that just get you hooked. A woman couldn't sleep for 9 days. This is what happened to her colon.
Jesus.
Her colon.
I've been noticing a lot on Facebook, or at least on my feed. There's a lot of those black hair, like biggest black hair, or what do they call those black things on your skin? And then
Blackheads.
blackheads, and then they pop them. That is disgusting, man. I don't know why they're popping up on my feed. It's not like I'm into that, and
You
have been
watch like
clicking on some.
one whole complete video. Now it's like this guy likes watching this shit. So just
Yeah, I know.
keep bombarding his feed or recommending it to him.
I have no idea. I don't even recall ever clicking on it. So, man, I don't know where these videos came from, but man, it reminds me of what you're talking about, Noel.
Right? It's like horrific sometimes. Like this one. This is the last one I'll tell you guys. A boy ate 150 gummy vitamins for breakfast. This is what happened to his bones. And it shows a picture of his bones just all broken and messed up. I'm just
Jesus.
like, damn, dude, this is insane.
I would think the opposite, man. You ate all those Flintstone vitamin gummies or whatever, man. You'd be strong as hell.
You would think, but if you watch the video, and the thing I like about it, they're like short ones, 12, 13 minutes. Just about everybody's got, 15 minutes they can throw away. So, check it out if you get a chance.
That's a long shit. So everybody got that time.
There you go. Although once you watch, you're gonna be like, damn, I don't know if I want to take a shit anymore. Or if anything, it might help you shit quicker once you're like, God damn, I ate too much. There's this one about this guy that ate pasta that was like 5 days old and his liver shut down. And I was like,
Jesus.
holy fuck. That's the last time I ate pasta. But yeah, that's what's been going on here. That was my weekend pretty much, just binging out these videos and watching that UFC. But what about you, Daniel? How's everything been going?
Everything with me pretty chill and relaxed. Nothing too major going on. I did get a chance to take the family out for a little movie night, and we saw that new one, the Spiderman Into the Verse or something like that.
To the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, Into the Spider-Verse, right. And man, I gotta say, it was pretty good. It was a pretty good movie. I'm a Spider-Man fan, so first off, I liked most of, if not all, the Spider-Man movies that came out, even the Tobey Maguire ones. So, I'm somewhat of a mark for Spider-Man. But this one was especially, I thought, good just because it was really modernized and it was something more towards like the younger generation, to where even Junior really dug it. He liked all the, like the, not just hip hop music, but all the newer stuff that's coming out, with like I forget that new character that's out that Junior really likes. But you know, it was just more of a modern twist. It had more modern music, modern graphics. The graphics were really like the highlight of it as well. Was that it was really pop, edgy. They had all these like text and different styles of graphics, and it was just really a good movie. I know some people don't like animation too much, but man, this was really a good one. The only probably negative mark that I would have is that it is kind of fast at times. And by fast, I mean it's just like really fast transitions. So it's almost like seizure inducing, how the lights and it just keeps flipping and changing and perspective changing. And it kind of gets much at times, you know, especially during the action sequences.
So, how long is the movie? Like an hour plus, something like what, an hour 20?
Right, just a standard movie fare. I don't recall exactly. It didn't feel too long-winded, and it didn't feel too short where you got ripped off. If I had to take a guess, it was probably like 140 or something like that. But it was pretty good.
So overall, what's the premise of the movie? I know there's multiple Spider-Mans, if I remember correct. There's something I haven't seen it. I don't even think I've seen a trailer for it.
Wow, you haven't even seen a trailer for it?
I've seen commercials of it, and I just see like a lot of Spider-Mans, I think, but I'm not like, I can wait till it's on Netflix.
Right. I mean, I guess it's a movie for first most kids, unless you're a big Spider-Man fan. So I could kind of understand that. But yeah, the basic premise is that it's based mostly around Michael Morales. He's like the main character in the movie, which he was like the first black Spider-Man. You know, and this was back maybe 10 years ago that it was a big deal. But this is his first time on like the major screen or whatever. So the majority of the movie is based around him, and you kind of at first just see his, you know, living. He's just a normal kid. He doesn't have like all these spider powers or anything like that. But something happens where he gets kind of thrust into it. He starts feeling he gets into a situation where he finally does get somewhat powers from a spider, similar to Spider-Man. And he's like fighting Fisk, because Fisk is like the main character bad guy throughout the whole story arc.
Isn't that Kingpin?
Yeah, Kingpin from Daredevil. So he's like the main guy at the start. He's creating this, you know, kind of like a flux capacitor or something or other. I forget what they call it, but something to tear the universe open to try to. He's trying to refine something from his past. So he's hoping to tear open the universe so he could find this aspect in his life from the past. And in doing so, since Michael Morales, or I don't even know if his name's Mike, but Morales, since he's there and he has this Spider-Man thing going on, he brings other Spider-Mans into his universe. At first, it's the OG original Spider-Man that gets pulled in, and that's the first character you get introduced with. And slowly throughout the movie, you start getting introduced to other characters that were also pulled in that you didn't realize. So then the movie just keeps going and going, and I think there's a total of like 5 or 6 of them that get pulled in. Some kind of outrageous, others that are kind of close to the comics, what you would recognize. But at the very end, they all work as a team, fight all the bad guys, and then try to restore the universe back to its original place before Fisk tore it open.
I got questions, Danny. Can I ask you a question?
Right.
Did you fall asleep during the movie?
No, and to be honest, man, I hate to reiterate it, but I am getting kind of old, and sometimes when the movie's kind of slow and whatever, I might take a nap while I'm laying down in those comfortable recliners. Not a long one, I'll take a quick, like 5-minute, snooze, and I'll be like, oh shit, what happened? How'd they get here?
And then one more question. You said the first Spider-Man that comes to the universe, you said it's the one of the older or whatever, the first one. So when you said that, the first thing that popped in my head, it was the '60s Spider-Man or from the cartoon. Did that guy make an appearance? That's Spider-Man.
That Spider-Man does make an appeance.
Oh shit! Now I got to see
so
this.
the OG Spider-Man with those generic graphics, with all that moves is his mask when he's talking. They don't really show any facial animation.
Oh man!
So that does appear in the movies. But what I meant with the first Spider-Man, it's the OG one, the one you would consider to be the main Spider-Man, the one that's in the comics, the Tobey Maguire version, the latest and greatest Spider-Man. That's the first one that pops up, and it's kind of in the future, so you get to kind of see him as a middle-aged man. He's got gray hair. He's got a little bit of a gut going because of his life situations that he's in. So it does some funny churns. It really is pretty cool. The storyline's pretty cool, and if you're somewhat aware of the Spider-Man universe, you get a lot of wink and nods of different aspects of his life, and it's really cool.
I don't care. You might want to mute your headphones here, guys. Noel. But I gotta know, does Stan Lee make a cameo?
Stanley always makes a cameo, and then this one is no difference. And actually, I think if I remember right, reading somewhere that this is his last cameo, or at least the last one that he recorded in life. Now they might do some digital CG stuff in the future to kind of keep that thing going where he does cameo. But this was the last thing where he actually recorded audio. For this little cameo that he did.
Damn. Now I gotta watch it.
Right. It's pretty good. To be honest, like you mentioned, Andy, for you, it's probably more of a house view. But for anybody with kids or any kind of like big Spider-Man mark, this is definitely a movie that you want to watch. And in the big screen TV, it's awesome, man. It's really entertaining, really flashy, and definitely a good movie. I probably didn't do it justice in my explanation.
Well, you said like multiple Spider-Mans. My head instantly went to like what version Spider-Man, like Spider-Man, like all the like little cameos, Spider-Man 2099, or like Spider-Man with the spider armor. Like did Spider-Man, like the Venom Spider-Man come out, when he has the black suit? Like the Spider-Man from the movies right now that's going on, like did he make a cameo? So all that shit's going through my head. Well, like the suits basically.
Right. I think that's kind of limited by just thinking about the suits, because that would theoretically only be really one Spider-Man. This is like other Spider-Mans. Like imagine if there's an alternate Andy who's like a super badass and is still driving a Bronco. That would be pulled into this world, and then you would see him and be like, oh shit, you're Andy, but you drive a Bronco. And then that situation of finding that version of Andy.
Did they have the spider clone come out of the garbage can like in the comics?
No, they just had him throw his costume in the garbage and walk away.
Like, I'm the new Spider-Man and I have a t-shirt now. And then the guy's like, I fucked you up, throw him in the garbage.
Right. But yeah, no, man, it's really cool. Go check it out if you have kids or you like Spider-Man. But the next thing that I kind of watched, since like you mentioned, Andy alluded to at the start where there was some bad weather, I started watching the Lost in Space, the new one, the new Netflix. I think it's like 10 episodes. And I got to say, Andy, I thought it was pretty good, man. I thought it was a good take on modernizing an old TV show. I think the old one was from like 1960 or maybe the 70s.
It was in black and white when it came out.
Right. Because I did actually watch the old one as well, just because this remake made me curious to see if I remembered the TV show, with the fondness that I hold it as a kid. And as for the old one, Andy, I do gotta admit, it is kind of corny, man. And I don't know if I could watch it now as an adult, but when I was a kid, I thought it was awesome.
We talked about this in a previous podcast because my wife, she got into it. And like I said, like she's like, I'm watching Lost in Space. I'm like, what? The old one? Like Danger Will Robinson? She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I saw it like, man, this just corny, yo. Like, this is fucking dumb. Like, I like the OG better, but I know a lot of people are into it, and I didn't like it too much. I saw it, and it's super diverse, and like, I didn't see the last 2 episodes. I know my wife saw it. I just didn't like it.
Yeah, I mean, the new one, it is more diverse. It's not just the super powerful males doing everything, and then the women are just there standing back like
white males.
Right. That probably was more true back in the day too, because I don't even think there were any black characters back in the original.
The doctor was gay.
Oh, was he?
I felt he was gay growing up because he talked funny. I might be wrong.
Well,
and he hanged out with a robot. Even the robot was like, "This is kind of weird, but I'll go with it."
Well, I think watching back the original, I think they were going for like a Russian, European vibe off of the doctor. But with this new one, it is definitely more of women power. Women are more empowered in this one. In the original, the only ones that were doctors and professors were the male characters, and the women were just women. That the daughter was just a regular daughter, and the mom was just a regular mom. And in this new TV show, the mom is probably the smartest one. She's like a super space, scientist. She's like knows everything about space travel and whatnot. The daughter, she's the doctor, and the husband, he's just the hard-headed Marine. He's just the one who's got all the brunt and the force, but he doesn't have much of the intelligence that the mom has. So it's really funny how they changed up a lot of the roles in the newer version. But putting all of that aside, kind of the super down your throat, women power stuff, I thought the TV show was well done, especially with the character of Dr. Smith. I thought the lady that played it very well. She really gave it a different dimension, in where the TV show had him more of as kind of like a hokey, funny character, kind of like stumbling over himself most of the time.
Sir.
In the new one, he's more maniacal. He's more.
It's a female, right?
Yeah, it's a female character, and she's like super manipulative. Kind of like Lex Luthor kind of thing. And kind of using her brains to kind of get her way, and it's really, really well done. I thought the robot part of it was kind of dumb at times. But I got to say, as a whole, if you look at the whole season, I thought it was very well. And where, like I mentioned, Andy, I was watching that old one, and man, I'm like 3 or 4 episodes in, and I don't know how much more I can watch, man. It's getting kind of bad.
If I recall, I think the doctor created the robot, and in the new one, the robot's a fucking alien, right?
Yeah, in the new TV show, he's an alien that they found.
Yeah, the robot's an alien they found, and in the old one, I think the doctor created. So right there, man, he won up the woman in the new series, man.
Well, in the old TV show, the robot was built as part of the spaceship to control the environment and handle situations where the humans couldn't do, because of whatever lack of oxygen or whatnot. But the Dr. Smith in the old one did reprogram the robot, but he did not build it. It was part of the spaceship when they space traveled.
Why was he always hanging out with him, man?
Well, because since he reprogrammed it, he programmed the robot to listen to his voice commands. So it would mostly just listen to the doctor and would ignore any commands from the other males on the TV show.
The doctor created essentially Alexa.
Right. Man, it's funny. Junior watched a little of the Lost in Space, the new one, with me, like the final couple of episodes, and he started getting kind of into it. He started watching the last couple with me, and then I showed him the old ones, because right after that I jumped into the old ones. And I kept hamming it up. I'm like, whoa, man, look at these graphics, man. It looks like they're flying through space. And he's just like, Daddy, this looks dumb. And I'm just like, yeah, buddy, I kind of have to agree with you.
We got to show them that's original sci-fi TV right there, man.
Yeah, I gotta say, so far it's still in black and white. I'm waiting for the change to color. Maybe that's season 2, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get that far, Andy. To be honest,
I can watch it. I can't binge watch. It's definitely not a binge watch type of show. With the old one, you can watch it every once in a while.
Right. But yeah, man, been kind of falling into that. We'll see how much longer I stay with Lost in Space. But you, Andy, you yourself got kind of lost in some movies as well, man. What's this Wind River? What's that one about?
So continuing the theme of sci-fi classics. I don't know if you guys seen the trailer or anything about Wind River, if you guys even know of the movie.
No, this is the first I heard about it.
It's the one with Jeremy Renner, right?
Right. So great, yeah. So it has Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, and the Punisher in it. So that's like, oh, it's another Marvel movie. I'm gonna watch this, and it's basically Hawkeye's like this, or Jeremy Renner is game type of like warden. I think it's what it's called when you're like at the national parks and you monitor animals, and it's filmed, I think, in Wyoming, if I remember correctly, and it just goes from there. He's divorced from this Indian lady or Native American. They moved out of the reservation. They split up because they had some family issues, and there was a murder at the reservation, and then they're trying to see who committed the murder, and they bring in this FBI agent who is Scarlet Witch. I can't think of her name right now. She has the twins, one of the Olsen. She's an Olsen,
right? Elizabeth.
Yeah, I think so. And it just goes from there. She asks him to help try to find this killer because his main thing, he's like, I'm a tracker. Like, I track animals and I can help you track these killers. And overall, it was actually a pretty good movie. I liked it. Me giving it all the shit early on with the another superhero movie, but overall the story's good. The acting was pretty decent. And it got pretty good scores on Rotten Tomatoes, so I highly recommend it. There is a couple twists in there. They don't get too political. There's a couple statements I've seen when all these like when they're cowboy-esque Western movies, they throw a couple little things where they get a little political. You kind of see it in this one. If you watch Yellowstone, that TV show, it kind of has that same kind of feel with it, with some of the issues they're trying to bring across in the movie. And I don't want to give you guys too much details, but like always, I kind of figured it out halfway what was going to be some like private, like to try and there's like a refinery around there, and it goes from there. I'm like, I kind of figured this shit out like halfway through it, but overall, I recommend it, and it has decent acting. The writing was pretty good, and yeah, check it out, man. If you're like into, Alana might like it if you guys like Longmire and Yellowstone. It's kind of in that vein. It's like the best part about it, like those areas, you're out there by yourself, and you have to do everything by yourself. You don't have a lot of people to help you, and if you do have help, it's not nearby. You have to wait for it. So you got to learn to do stuff on your own, figure stuff out, and be prepared when shit hits the fan.
I gotta admit, I didn't really know much about this before you started talking about it, and when you said Hawkeye, Scarlet, and Punisher, I'm just like, man, are they playing their characters? But now while you're talking, I kind of Googled it really quick, and I was just like, oh, it's just the actors. It's not really an
do you
Avengers.
Know them as anything else?
Right. I just kind of pictured the Avenger characters, and I'm just like, what? How are all of them stuck in the mountains?
So it's basically, he's playing Hawkeye, except he don't have a bow and arrow. He has a gun. and he's a family man, and he wants to protect his family, and he does a couple things, kind of like the Hawkeye. And then the Elizabeth Olsen or whatever she's doing, I'm an FBI agent, but I kind of can read people and stuff like that. And she's playing Scarlet Witch, and the Punisher. He has I want to call it a cameo, but he's like some badass that starts fucking up guys, but then you see what happens to him in the movie. He's kind of like he's involved in the murder in he's involved. That's all I'm gonna say. But he's like a badass. He's fucking up people and shit. So, like I said, the first thing that caught my eye is I remember seeing a trailer for it, but I'm like, basically it's just a Marvel movie without Marvel in it because it has all these Marvel characters in it, you know?
Yeah, no, I ended up seeing this a while back. It's actually pretty dramatic. It's pretty good. It's worth a watch.
Yeah, she's obviously like a big city. She came from Vegas, and I think I don't remember. Yeah, she's from Florida. So she's like in this she's from an urban area, and she goes there and she's talking to the tribal police, and they're just like, yeah, you shot him, just leave him there. Don't worry. Like, he's still breathing. Like, yeah, don't worry about it. Let's just walk away. She's kind of shocked. Like, I feel like how they handle things out there, because she's like, well, let's call, like, before a couple, they're gonna go into this building. She's like, shouldn't we wait for backup? She's like, you guys, like, the tribal police is like, there ain't no backup up here. It's just me and you, and they go handle their shit, you know.
What were your thoughts, Noel, since you watched it?
I liked it. You know, this is it's kind of a survival type thing too, because it's out in Wyoming. It's on a Native American reservation, so it deals with like the elements, and it's pretty dramatic because it shows like glimpses of the murder, like how, like it's not your typical murder. Let's just say that it has a lot to do with nature and the way the environment is. Like, environment will kill you if you're not ready for it, and it was pretty dramatic. It got you sucked in. So I watched the whole thing. It's like an hour 47, it says on IMDb. Yeah, it sucks you in. So the whole time you're entertained. And it actually did well financially. $11 million budget, made $44 million back. So, you know, 4 times its investment. It's pretty good.
Yeah, like I said, it's financially did all right. The movie, like, the story is good, and I recommend it. You got to watch it. I know those type of movies, it gets a little bloody, a couple scenes, but you could see like Hawkeye's like love of nature and like the elements, and how part of his job is tracking down animals that kill like livestock and all this other shit, and he finds them. But definitely the thing, the movie never really resolves that issue after he finds that animal that he was supposed to kill. He's like, oh, there you are. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'll come back for you. And, like, they never really resolved that whole issue.
It was like a wolf, right?
It was mountain lion killed livestock. It killed, like, a cow. And the Native American person, the Indian's like, yeah, like, you got to go get it before it kills more. And he goes hunting for it. And then at the same time, he's helping the FBI agent try to track the killers, and he finds the lion, or the mountain lion, first with her cubs, because she was teaching her cubs how to hunt, and that's why he had to kill them. And I think it was like 4 of them, but you know, they get away from it, and then like there was really no resolution for that part of the story.
I can't remember that much. Like I said, I saw this a little while ago.
Yeah.
Came out August of 2017.
Yeah. I highly recommend it. Everybody out there in podcast land, check it out. And the other thing I saw, which I was kind of intrigued, was the Fyre Festival documentary. Apparently there's 2 of them, one on Hulu and one on Netflix. I saw the one on Netflix, and holy shit, man! I heard of it. I knew of it. I knew about the catastrophe when it hit because it's all over like social media. To see Ja Rule and this other investor just like completely fucked this up and like and they basically they defrauded people for this music festival. I don't know how much you guys know of it, but I highly recommend. I mean, I love documentaries, and this one did shed a lot of light on it. And I don't know. Do you guys know anything about the Fyre Festival? Did you see any trailers?
No, to be honest, this is the first time hearing about it.
Yeah, I remember seeing stuff like they got a concert together or some type of like a vacation resort, something like some huge thing, and all these people committed to it, paid for it, and then when they actually went, it wasn't what they promised, and it was like half the shit that they, said that it was gonna be.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it is a business aspect. They had one little thing. They were creating an app to book artists. So, like, let's say we were, they wanted to book us to do a live podcast, like a hall. They created an app where we tell them the fee when they want us there, and they set up money and they take a piece of it. So to promote the app, the Fyre app, they're like, we're going to create a music festival. And they went to a trade show and they created, they're like, we're going to have a music festival. And people were like laughing at them. And they find an island, they buy this island, and then they're like, the people then put like a down payment, and essentially they get thrown out of the island. They go to this other island. They're like, this is not big enough. Then they go to another island. And then the whole time they're pushing it like, this is a remote island where you guys pay these bungalows thousands of dollars. You can have private villas, and like people are signing up for this shit. We're gonna have all these music people, and they didn't give themselves enough time, so they're pushing everything through, and people got there and nobody knows what the fuck they're doing, and people spent all this money. They see the bungalows. It's basically a tent. They give them food. It's like they said they promised gourmet food and sushi and all this like hand-picked shit, and all they give them was like sandwiches and salads. It's just like you just can see where this is going. They bolted early. I mean, the whole thing is a fucking fiasco. People were stranded there. It's just bad.
Switch, man.
Yeah, dude. And people said they got defrauded, and I think Ja Rule said that he was bamboozled, and the guy the initial investor or the founder, he's going to jail for like 6 years.
Yeah, Billy McFarland says in here. Yeah. Damn, that's crazy, dude. To think that you could organize it and really trick even like celebrities, Kendall Jenner. I'm reading some names here, Emily Ratajkowski.
Uh-huh.
That's crazy, man.
So you mentioned there's 2 documentaries on this, Andy?
Yeah, so there's one on Netflix, and it has actual footage because they hired this publicity company, like a publicist, to record footage, and they had footage like that. And Hulu created a one with some people, and I heard it's more of a funny take. I don't have Hulu, but I'm gonna try to see if I can watch it.
When you hear that there's artists and stuff like that, some people become fanatics. So I could understand how this might happen, where people kind of get duped because, let's say, I don't know who the hell I mean, Hogan. Let's say Hogan's going to be there, and he's like, man, I'm going to be there limited. You could pay for this, and then you get to meet me. We'll go out for dinner. You get to watch me watching these concerts. I'm going to be there. And, some people might become fanatic enough to be like, well, I'll pay for this to go hang out and do these things. Kind of like the Jericho cruise. I don't know if you guys heard about that. The wrestler, Chris Jericho, he threw something similar where all these things were promised, except in his case, I think I heard that it turned out a lot better than this Ja Rule one that you were mentioning.
So yeah, definitely, check it out. I highly recommend it. If you're a documentary lover, go for it, because a lot of bullshit happened in a lot of people went through some bullshit. So going with bullshit, we're gonna transition to the article of the week.
Yep. We got this article from Mind Unleashed, the bullshit of good vibes only, and why conflict can actually be good. Yeah, I came across this about a couple months ago, and pretty interesting. If you get a chance to look at it, we're gonna put up the link. I recommend all our viewers to take a look at it and read it in depth. We're going to kind of just go over it, summarize it a little bit, and give our thoughts on it. But our viewers should definitely take a look into this, especially considering the era that we're facing right now, where a lot of people are easily offended, and sometimes rightfully so, but sometimes they're just not. They don't have a thick enough skin that reality requires when you're living in this world. And yeah, to kind of get it kicking off here, it says conflict is not something you actually enjoy unless you're like psychotic or you have an addiction to drama and stuff like that. But most people generally they want to live conflict free. They want to be liked. They want to be validated, agreed with. They want to be approved, and all that stuff is pretty normal, But what happens when this desire to avoid conflict becomes pathological? And the answer is pretty much, it says here that we become people pleasers, that we sacrifice our authenticity, who we really are, to become like a cookie cutter mold that, seeks the approval of others or in order to avoid any kind of potential conflict. And I've heard about this good vibes only approach to life from some people on Facebook, some of my friends, some people I interact with, through work or through personal friendships. And it's kind of crazy. Not in a psychotic sense, but it's intense to only try to have this good vibe only. What it means is that you're trapped in a cycle. You're seeking positive vibes and avoiding conflict. You're not actually growing as a person when you do this, because reality has both the good and the bad, and you have to kind of take it all and learn to cope with it. Learn how to handle the bad and accept and appreciate the good. So yeah, it kind of goes down in this article. Uh, what it says is like it's as if the spiritual ego that people adopt adds an extra layer of difficulty in dealing with negativity. And some people develop strong ideals and beliefs, and sometimes it's based on spiritual rhetoric. Some like all is love or love and light, think happy thoughts. And then when somebody comes and shits on all that, people get upset, people get shocked. But the thing is, we have to be able to we have to be able to debate people. We have to be able to represent our beliefs and not be afraid. And sometimes people get shocked because it comes from fear and anger, fear that, oh, we might be wrong, that our beliefs are no longer pacifying or creating a comfortable little bubble that we live in. And we get angry, because instinctively we want to defend ourselves. The ego is a powerful thing, and it doesn't like to be challenged, doesn't like to be disproved, and doesn't like people kind of going against us. We want, like I said, we all want to be accepted. And so when somebody comes around and challenges your beliefs, we tend to either write them off or just lash out at them. And that's been happening a lot recently in the media, for example. A lot of people who have differing beliefs, they either get chastised. Some people on the extreme cases get their careers ruined, their lives ruined, and it's a pretty sad state of affairs right now. So this article is goes into detail, why conflict is a powerful teacher. Um, it gives a lot of details here. I don't want to go too in depth with it, but so for example, it goes down to why conflict can be a powerful teacher. I'll give you some bullet points. Conflict helps you actively develop more patience and forbearance around others. Conflict helps you see beyond the veil of another's actions and develop deeper insight and compassion for them. Conflict reveals compassion for others, man. That's what it's about.
Yeah, man. Doesn't sound very Christian to me.
Well, that's going back again on the whole religion thing. People they get upset when their views are challenged, and I believe that stems from also Christianity, along with other religions, and even religions that aren't the most popular. Like some of these New Age philosophies that are becoming more adopted into almost becoming a religion itself. But
serenity now.
Yeah, I know, like you mentioned, the article goes into some really good details. And to be honest, when I first saw this article, I just thought, hey man, this is just some, new age hippie thing. But as I read the article with more in depth, it does bring up some good points. But to be honest, Noel, I kind of read this article in a different way. I kind of read it kind of shitting on what I believe. I kind of believe in good vibes. Try to be a good person. Try to see the positive in everything. And this article kind of labels that thought as kind of weak, because it kind of does like a broad stroke, saying that people like this do not have the tools to handle conflict. And I think, at least speaking for myself, I don't mind conflict. I don't seek it. If I do see that something is difficult and challenging, and I feel that that person is not going to be receptive to listening to another side, then I do withdraw. I do back out, and I don't seek that kind of conflict. But if I see a person is willing to have a dialogue, I don't mind having that dialogue, even though at the end of it, we might still both walk out with our own opinions and nothing was swayed. But I would like to think that my opinion can be swayed. There's times me and Andy have discussions because even though we're friends, there are a few things that we disagree on. And we'll have discussions. And after, I'm like, that was a good point. I didn't really think about it like that. And even me and you, Noel, we we're brothers, and there's things that we think differ on. But after some, discussion, I might walk away and be like, well, that's a good point. I didn't really think about it in that way. So I think this, even though I think of myself as somewhat this good vibe kind of person, I do try to be positive and all that good stuff like it mentions. I'd like to think that I do have some tools that allow me to have discussions, maybe not conflicts, or maybe that's the wrong word, conflict. I kind of see that as arguing and kind of like having a verbal, aggressive discussion, and where I don't mind having conversation and try to expand my thought and try to maybe illuminate things in a different light.
It says right here, Dan, if you do the good vibes only, you're limiting the growth on every single level, because you have, as what the article says, you're having difficulty dealing with negativity in reality.
Yeah, I know, man. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I now that Noel gives me like his kind of summary of this, I'm like, shit, man, I read this in a totally different way. I kind of saw it like it was labeling me like a way, and I'm just like, I don't see myself like this. And I'm like, am I, it had me second guessing. I'm like, am I weak? What the hell is this? What's going on, man?
I think the article, for what I got from it, is negativity, or not negativity. The conflict is good. It's just you can't let it. I think where it sees it as like you can't get emotional about it. And to me, if you bring emotion into any argument, I feel like I get heated, I get hot about certain things, and I feel when I get like that, like I lost the argument or the point that I'm trying to prove, because I'm bringing emotion into it. And the thing is, like, it's trying to make you understand when the other person who you're having the conflict with is trying to get you to understand the reason like this, because they are emotional because they had some issues in the past that makes them do this. And that's my understanding. Like, fuck that, I don't care. Just bring whatever conflict. Let's talk about it and bring it to a head. But I'm not thinking like, man, obviously someone fucked this guy up when he was a kid, and that's why he reacts like this. I never think about that. In the article, when you're dealing with, like, one of the things it brings up is why conflict is a powerful teacher. That's one of the talking points it gives out. And it did bring me like, well, I guess obviously they had something happen to them and they see things this way. So to me, like, you want to have, like, for what I got from, less emotion, I guess.
Right.
You know?
And to that point, when I read that part that, you got to think about other people's points of view and where they're coming from, I'd like to think that I do try to think about that. Like if we're at a restaurant and things are kind of dragging and Alana's just like, shit, man, when are we going to get a refill on this bread basket, man? We're hungry here. I start right away thinking, maybe it's really busy. Maybe he's the only waiter. And I start bringing these points out to Alana. And then she's just like, look, sometimes service just needs to be good. He's like, I understand what you're saying. He's like, but I don't want to hear all that noise right now. All I want to know is where the hell's my bread. And so I could see it both ways. I like to think that, I think about the other person's situation, but at the same time, to a certain point, you do get frustrated, and that's when that emotion comes out, and you're just like, yeah, where's my shit?
Well, that's what the point that Noel brought up when he first, introduced the article. It's thin-skinned people and the social justice warriors or the snowflakes. They talk about how you got to bring into consideration, like, be all inclusive about everyone. And when you do that, I feel, there's a point to it. That's why nothing gets done. And everybody's at the end just yelling at each other because everybody has had some type of emotional distress or some bad vibes or something scarred them. And it gets to the point where you want to be all inclusive and bring all these people and have all these discussions. At the end, nothing's getting solved because everybody got baggage and everybody's emotional. But all they know is they just want to talk about it and they don't want to have conflict. Sometimes out of conflict, you will get a resolution, and it just, people are like also thin-skinned and they don't want to hear it. They just want good vibes and we're all peace and love, man. But fuck that. Sometimes you need a fight to get to figure shit out.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to be more logical thinking and a little bit less emotionally responsive.
Yeah.
And
that's hard.
it's incredibly difficult, especially nowadays. People get triggered. Right. They used to, like, I didn't know that word, and like it wasn't a commonly used word until this like newer generation. When I was growing up, like I wasn't not that I wasn't aware of these issues.
You weren't woke.
But it wasn't, yeah, like all these terms that were invented, like
right.
It wasn't a thing growing up. We all got along. People maybe thought differently, or we did have arguments, but it wasn't like I saw that person as less than me because we're different in opinion. It's like, all right, we're share different opinions, but we're still both human beings. We're both trying to do better for ourselves. So, we might not get along with that point of view, but that doesn't mean you're a piece of shit and I'm better than you, right? Because I think this way.
Just look at real quick, just look at the political climate, how it is now with Trump and the wall and the Democrats. If you look at your Facebook feed, I don't know about you guys, I have a lot of people who are like Democrats and hate Trumps, and I have people who like who like Trump. And you start seeing these posts about, oh, if you like fucking Trump, fuck you, like disfriend me or don't be my friend. And there's people like, oh, Trump this, like we need to build the wall. This is why. And you see all these abusing viewpoints. But generally, I feel like it's more one-sided on the people who hate Trump. They don't want to hear anything positive or anything about him. They're like, you talk about, well, I feel like he's doing good with the China relations. Like he's sticking it to him. Like right away, they're like, oh, fuck you. I don't want to deal with you. And like, they unfriend you. It goes to like this fucking extreme. And like, dude, we were able to have discussions, and now you're completely mad at me because of some political shit. Like that we disagree upon, you're ready to like just throw all that out the window. And then like that's emotional reaction. No logical person will do that, you know?
And this goes into the article where it says 9 signs that you're negativity phobic. And it kind of goes along with what you're saying, Andy. It's they avoid people or situations that make them uncomfortable. They can't handle criticism well. They feel upset, unusually defensive or on guard all the time, where they're highly sensitive to people's thoughts and opinions, where they intentionally try to block out all forms of like communication because they see it as negative.
Or an opposing viewpoint, and like, you know, they just don't want to hear it. They just want their feed of what they know, what agrees with them, and they don't want to hear anything else.
Yeah, I think the environment right now is becoming very toxic, and a lot of people have these opinions that are differing, and they don't want to like really understand the other point of view. So this article kind of goes in depth on how to embrace conflict. So I'm hoping that our readers give it a chance, give it a read. I know we have viewers from both sides of the spectrum, leftists and the right. You know, we have liberals as well as, you know, the conservatives. So I'm hoping they both get a chance to read this article and maybe get a chance to understand each other a little better.
What Danny does is when we have an argument and he just starts shitting on me, saying that I don't know no better.
Right.
Calls me ignorant sometimes, Noel.
That's usually my go-to.
That's how I knew I won the argument. He's like, you ignorant fuck.
That's my defense mechanism, man.
That's your emotional response.
Right. I mean, I like you guys all said, we all have our weak points. The thing I think you got to come out from this article is maybe that we all need to just try a little harder to explore that dialogue with other people. You know, I'm kind of short-tempered when I'm driving and people are driving like idiots, and Alana points it out to me. You know, it's just like, you know, just chill. You know, everybody else is in this traffic too. So we just all need to try to do better, to become better people, try to understand other people's perspective, and just try to open up a dialogue instead of just right away start screaming and kicking over stands at GameStop.
All you got to do is just, you have to listen
and be like, it's ma'am.
Be like, and I'll be like, yes, sir. I'm sorry. Yeah. Like shit like that, like that dude lost his shit. Now, I think it was a mistake by that clerk, but he just lost his shit, man. And, like, you just got to listen. You don't have to agree with people. I always tell people, like, I'll listen to you, but don't mean I'm going to agree with you.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. We're not going to agree on this subject, but I'm hearing your points. And if I have a counter, I'll give it to you. If I don't, then I'll be like, fuck you. I don't want to be your friend no more.
Yeah, get a haircut that I could set my watch to.
There you go, you damn hippies. But conflict is good. I mean, you know, I don't know. At jobs, there's also a culture. Everybody wants to be friends, but there's always got to be that one bad guy who has to be the asshole and has to set the rules and has to tell them how to be done. And there's always that one guy, and you know, you need that one guy. I feel anyway.
Right. The only place conflict is not good is in the bedroom.
That's when it feels awesome.
Nah. That's when you need those good vibes, man. Those good vibrations.
Let me get my cheese centered here, and let me get this flow going down below.
Right. Hell yeah.
Yeah, no, it's crazy right now. This point in time where we're living in. I watch a lot of podcasts and stuff, and everybody's talking about just the way the climate is and all the toxicity going around there. And yeah, it might be kind of silly sometimes with you know, the, like you say, the hippies, they're like peace and love and this and that. But at a certain point, you kind of need somebody to focus on that, you know. I think the whole point of this article, though, is to bring balance. It's not just about peace and love, and it's not just about hatred and anger. It's about finding a way to respect each other. And you know, to kind of sum this up, I'm going to give you one little quote that my mom gave me a while back, and she got it from her dad, which is a very peaceful man that I came to respect greatly. and it's in Spanish, but let me see if I can translate in English. Essentially, it means that to respect the differences of others is to truly know peace. So if you can do that, we should be able to get along a little better. But that's it for our episode today, guys. Thank you very much for listening. And as you already know, you can follow us on Freeform Network on Facebook and Twitter, Freeform Network. Also, we have a website, an email set up, ffnquestions@gmail.com. You can send any questions, any kind of suggestions you have. And I think we're going to go through some of the questions that we've gotten in recent times, and we're going to go through that soon. So make sure you send those questions in so you can get a part of the discussion. Also, visit our webpage at freeformnetwork.podbean.com. You're going to see all the links there, the Stitcher, the iTunes, the Podbean, all the good ones. Subscribe it, hit that like button. We love to see that. For Freeform Radio, this is Noel, and we have Andy.
Sending out good vibes, Andy. Y'all have a good week.
And Daniel.
Yes, man. Good vibes to everybody. I hope I'm not a snowflake.
I think you're actually one of the balanced people, Daniel, so that's good.
Oh, good. Thanks.
All right. Well, everybody, peace and love. Have a good time, and we'll see you all later.
That was cool, Dad.